let's discuss the 12 tribes descended from Ishmael. Many of us are familiar with Abraham's ancestral history and his longing for a son. As recounted in the scriptures, Abraham initially fathered a son with his handmaid Hagar, with Ishmael being the firstborn. Abraham's second son, Isaac, was designated as the promised son. On the Graceful Faith channel, we invite you to explore the profound narratives and teachings of the Bible. Here, we will delve into the sacred pages, revealing eternal lessons and spiritual truths that have influenced generations. Get ready for a unique spiritual journey filled with wisdom and inspiration as we examine the biblical accounts. Don't forget to activate the notification bell, leave your like, share, and comment so that we can continue to spread the divine message to more people. The Jews today claim descent from Abraham through his second son, Isaac. Few people know what happened to Ishmael's descendants. It is often assumed that they simply became the Arabs of the Middle East. However, for most of us, our knowledge stops there. In the following record, however, regarding Ishmael, I have heard him. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He will beget 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. Genesis 17:20. These are the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bore to Abraham. These are the names of Ishmael's sons, listed according to their generations. Ishmael's firstborn was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tama, Jether, Naphis, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, each with their respective cities and camps. They made up 12 princes, each leading his own nation. Genesis 25:12-16. In 1932, David J. Gibson embarked on an ambitious project to map the chronologies of the Bible. In the process, he came across the enigma of the fate of Ishmael's sons. Determined to complete his chronology, he devoted his entire life to finding answers to this question. 10 years after his death, his son Dan Gibson took up the challenge. He flew to the Middle East to continue the search begun by his father. For more than 30 years, Dan explored remote parts of Arabia. He lived in isolated villages, climbed mountains in Yemen, lived with Bedouins in southern Jordan, and crossed the scorching deserts of Saudi Arabia. He also sought out the knowledge of renowned archaeologists working in the Middle East and extensively reviewed various books and theses on the subject. Here is a brief summary of what was started by Dan's father and continued by him. The Islamic understanding of the origin of the Bedouin tribes is described in the chart below. Some biblical scholars identify the Muslim Khatan as the biblical Jachan. The biblical record of Ishmael provides us with the names of his two sons, but offers no clues as to their relationship with the modern Bedouin tribes. These names are found in Genesis 25. Also recorded in I Chronicles 1:29-33. These are the generations of Ishmael. The firstborn was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphis, and Kedema. These sons of Ishmael formed tribes that intermarried, had children, and gave rise to nations that lived from Havilah to Shur and from Egypt to Assyria. However, the descendants of Ishmael were not the only tribes in the Arabian desert. Other groups emerged from different origins, some becoming the people of southern Arabia, while others wandered and settled in the Arab region. In the analysis of the founding of the nation, we will examine the 12 sons of Ishmael and try to determine what happened to them. More is known about Ishmael's eldest son, Nabateus, than about any other in the Bible. Kedar and the tribe of Nabatean were known for raising sheep, as mentioned in Isaiah 67. Their names are often found together in Assyrian records. Nabatean is specifically mentioned by the Jewish historian Josephus, who identified him as the eldest son of Ishmael. Josephus stated that the Nabateans inhabited a vast area, from the Euphrates to the Red Sea, referring to this region as Natain. He also gave the Nabateans the name of the Arab nations. The Nabateans spoke and wrote a primitive form of Arabic and were often referred to as Arabs by Greek and Roman historians prior to Josephus's account. Syrian records mention King Ashurbanipal, 6668-663 BC, who fought against the Neans of Arabia in 703 BC. A group of Chaldeans and neighboring tribes rebelled against Sarib, the Assyrian ruler. The ancient records of Tiglath-Pileser III list among the rebels the Hagarites, possibly the descendants of Hagar, Ishmael's mother, the Nabateans, most likely the descendants of Nathan, Ishmael's eldest son, and the Kedarites, descendants of Ishmael's second son. According to these records, the tribes fled from Assyria into the Arabian desert and could not be conquered. The Assyrian kingdom ended up being divided between two brothers. One became king of Babylon and the other king of Assyria. In 652 BC, a conflict broke out between these two brothers, and in support of the king of Babylon, the Arabs invaded western Assyria, as described in the records of Isa Haden. The Akkadians were defeated and fled to Nathan, the leader of the Nabateans, for protection. The Kedarites and Nabateans attacked the western borders of Assyria, but were again defeated. After this defeat, Nuru, son of Natu, was proclaimed leader of the Nabateans. 300 years later, the papyrus Zeno of 259 BC mentions that the Nabateans traded Gurian and Manan incense, transporting it to Gaza and Syria via the Kedarite trading centers of northern Arabia, such as Jah and Tama. Early Nabatean pottery has also been found at sites along the Persian Gulf, the coasts of Saudi Arabia, and in Bahrain. There are also ancient references to the Nabateans who lived along the west coast of the Arabian Peninsula and in Sinai. These Nabateans were pirates who sailed the Red Sea, plundering merchant ships and established bases in various seaports, including the port city of Elah, now Aqaba, just 120 kilometers from Petra. While many think of the Nabateans as people who transported goods across the desert in camel caravans, it is becoming increasingly clear that they were also a people involved in maritime trade. Historical records indicate that in 586 BC, they began a gradual migration northwards, towards the Jewish lands that had been emptied by Nebuchadnezzar. The tribes of Arabia also began to move north from their port city of Aqaba. It only took a short journey inland for the Nabateans to quickly occupy the unoccupied land, eventually becoming the core of the Nabatean Empire. Although the chronology is not precise, it seems that some Nabateans stayed behind, while others emigrated to Judea, where they became known as Adians. Some of these Adians opposed the Jews during the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem under Ezra, and later in the rebuilding of Jerusalem's city walls under Nehemiah. Over time, the Nabateans built up an impressive civilization based on mercantile trade. The capital of the Nabateans was originally the city of Petra, situated in the sandstone mountains of southern Jordan. Later, the city of Basra, in southern Syria, also served as their capital. In addition, the Nabateans built several other cities in the region, including Neve, in the north of present-day Saudi Arabia, and in other parts of Jordan. In 106 AD, the Nabateans surrendered to the Roman Empire. As for the sons of Kedar, they became known as the Kites and were the main military power of Ishmael's descendants. Isaiah mentions the glory of Kedar and his talented archers, Isaiah 21:16-17, while Ezekiel associates Arabia with the princes of Kedar, suggesting a confederation under their leadership. The Arabs were often in conflict with the Assyrians, Neo-Babylonians, Persians, and even the Romans, all of whom recognized the importance of controlling the trade routes in northern Arabia, which were under the dominion of the Kedarites and later the Nabateans. Nehemiah confronted the Arab adversary Kashem, recognized as one of the kings of Kedar in the 5th century BC, on the basis of a series of inscriptions found in northern Arabia, which offer insights into his religion. According to the Assyrian inscriptions, Sarib captured several Arab deities in the city of Duma, the main one being Ataram, or the morning star in the sky, equivalent to the Mesopotamian Ishtar. The confederation led by the Kites was known as the Confederation of Ataram, and its cult was led by a series of queen priestesses in Duma. In addition to Ataram, the pantheon of gods included Ruda, Abu Ruda, Abiru, and Ata Karuma. Graffiti in the Tamil language revealed that Ruda was known as the evening star, while Nuhi was the sun god, both worshipped together with Ataram, the morning star. Herodotus, in the 5th century BC, mentioned two deities venerated among the Arabs: a fertility god called Oral, possibly identified as Ruda, and a sky goddess called Aot. Aot would later be referred to in male form as Allah. The kites are mentioned in several biblical passages, always as nomads. Psalm 120 depicts a scene of distress, where the speaker flees and takes refuge in a place called Mesek, in the tents of the kites. Isaiah 42:11 mentions Kedar in a context of praise, while Jeremiah 2:10 advises the children of Israel to consult Kedar to see if it is common for a people to abandon their gods. Jeremiah 49:28 foretells a prophecy against Arabia, Hazor and Kedar, anticipating their destruction by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Ezekiel 27:21 laments the city of Tyre and mentions that Arabia and the princes of Kedar traded lambs, rams, and goats with Tyre in the 4th century BC. The parrots disappear from history as the Neans come to the fore. The tribe of Adel is associated with the peoples of the land of Arubu, who became subjects of Tiglath-Pileser II between 744 and 727 BC. Their leader, called Idelu, acted as an Assyrian representative on the borders of Egypt, with the tribe dwelling far to the west. Some historians have speculated that Ad's tribe lived in Siaim Sum and Aa Mishma, while others have questioned whether Mishma's descendants founded the villages around Jebel Mma. There is a possibility that these two tribes mixed with the Simonites and disappeared from history as a separate entity. Duma is mentioned in biblical records as a city in Canaan, and also associated with Edom and the SE in Isaiah 21:11. Historians generally identified Duma with the Adumu people. The records of Asar-Haddon relate how his father, Sarib, opposed the Adumu in an attempt to subjugate the Arabs, capturing King Sarai, called the King of the Khazil Arabs, as mentioned in an inscription from Ashurbanipal. Geographically, Adumat is often linked to the medieval Arab city of Duma el-Jandal, which was an important strategic point on the great trade route between Syria, Babylon, and the Hijaz. Dumat el-Jandal is located at the southeastern end of Al-Jaf, a desert basin that often encompasses the entire lower region of the Wadi, as Sirhan, a famous depression situated between Syria and Mesopotamia. In Mesopotamia, this area was known for its abundance of water and served as a stopping point for caravans from Tama before heading to Syria or Babylon. This strategic location effectively made Duma the gateway to northern Arabia. The oasis in this region was the center of power for many kings and queens of northern Arabia, as reported in Assyrian records. Tiglath-Pileser III's records mention the inhabitants of Massa and Tama, paying him tribute on top of Mount Gun, located about 14 kilometers south of Tama. Archaeologists recently conquered and explored this area, finding some graffiti that mentioned the Massa tribe in connection with Dedan and Nabatean. This inscription mentions conflicts with Dedan, Nebith, and the Messiah. Therefore, these tribes seem to have been involved during the time when the tribe of Massa was active. The tribe of Massa is possibly linked to the Messenes of North Arabia, as mentioned in my geography. Those who defend the theory that the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea into Arabia identify El Masr as the place where the Israelites murmured, as recorded in Exodus. Some historians speculate that this tribe may have become known as the Hara, or the Harina people, who lived near the mountains northwest of Palmyra. It is also interesting to note that there is a Haddad tribe in Arabia, with the majority of the Haddad being Christians today and distributed throughout the Levant, including Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. The Haddad tribe is also related to Tama, associated with the ancient oasis of Tama, located to the northeast of the Hijaz district, on the trade route between Tat and Duma. Between Tama and Duma is the famous Nafud Desert, where it is believed that the present-day city of Tama, on the southwestern edge of the Great Nafud Desert, was built on the remains of the ancient oasis of the same name. King Tiglath-Pileser III received tribute from Tama, as well as from other Arab oases. Assyrian records report that a coalition led by Sami, Queen of the Arabs, was defeated. This coalition included the city of Tama, the tribes of Sheba, Hapa, Badana, Hatti, and Idil, located to the west. After their defeat, these tribes were obliged to send tributes of gold, silver, camels, and spices of all kinds. The Assyrian king Sarib named one of the gates of the great city of Nineveh the Sumu Gate, and records that gifts from Sumu and Tti were received through it. From this event, we can deduce that Tama was considered an important site around 552 BC. Nabonidus, king of Babylon, from 555 to 539 BC, and father of the biblical king Daniel, made Tama his residence and spent 10 of the 16 years of his reign there. During this period, Tama probably became a seedbed for one of the Persian empires. In the 1st century BC, the Nabateans began to dominate Tama, and it gradually became part of their commercial empire. Isaiah 21:13-14 calls on the people of Tama to provide water and food for their fleeing compatriots, possibly referring to the invasion of North Arabia in 738 BC. Jeremiah 25:23 makes a prophecy against the city of Oasis in Tama, while Job laments his fall from wealth and comments that the Tma troops and the Yemeni armies of Sheba had waited. But now, he had nothing. Thank you for joining us as we explore the stories of the Bible. We hope you have enjoyed this journey through the biblical narratives and have found inspiration in the divine messages they convey. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you like our work, give us a like to support us and share your thoughts in the comments. Also, feel free to share these videos with friends and family. Let's keep spreading the light of God's word together. Until next time.